This is Madeline. Had her first day, 11th grade today at Blacksburg High. So it's a good day, really competitive. Guys making plays, some guys still emerging, fighting for spots. Biggest thing, we were a little lopsided. One period would be really good for the offense and not so good for the defense. And then a couple periods later, it'd be the exact opposite. And my message to the guys, we gotta answer. So when we can't let a period get away from us. And one side kind of just take over the whole thing and dominate the period. So we still got some growing to do that way, but they're coming. Good day.
Does the tenor of practice change at all as you get into this second week here?
No, I think we're still, at least in this mini camp, Andy, we're still just like we've been. You know, we're willing to move some guys around, to try some things. We still got decisions we have to make on guys. So, you know, some guys are getting a ton of reps. Some guys we already know enough about. We're pulling back on them a little bit so that we can figure out this team, you know, over the this mini camp and next.
Any particular battles you're watching closely, maybe one more so than the other?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's battles at inside linebacker. There's some things at safety. I think there's some guys emerging at wide receiver that are making it interesting. Gave Devin Alves a shout out after practice. Had maybe one of the best days a wideouts had around here in a while. So you know, the running back room. You know, I think the O-line's pretty set. There's some competition in that second rung, but the first group's pretty set. Tight ends are pretty set. Obviously, we're set at number one quarterback. We still got, you know, Garrett trying to sneak up on Pop, but you know, we got competitions at a lot of places still, and that's why we got a half scrimmage tomorrow, and then we got this next mini camp where we gotta get a lot done.
Alves is kind of one that slips through the cracks when we think about him because he switched positions. How has that transition gone for him?
You know, I told the story to the guys today. Not many of them probably realize he came in here as a corner and had played it some, but not extensively. And just when he was starting to come on, he tore his ACL and was sidelined for an extended time, battled back. We moved him to safety. He's a big body, and it never came around for him. He tried, he'd have moments, he'd have setbacks. It wasn't natural for him. And honestly, out of necessity in the spring, we needed some guys at wide out, and he has the length. He's an athlete. He had showed ball skills at DB, and with some convincing, he moved over and had an okay spring. But this summer and this camp, he's really started to kind of get comfortable at the position.
Coach noticed Cam seldom off to the side during one-on-ones. Is he dealing with something right now?
Yeah, he's got a minor injury he's coming back from.
How about some of those other running backs, receivers, like Bennett, Stewart weren't out there?
Bennett got a little knee bruise, nothing serious. Stewart started practice and then got something tweaked a little bit, and they took him in, checked him out, and brought him back out. But I don't think that's anything serious.
How about Wiggins?
Wiggins, it's got a chance to be a little bit longer. Not surgical or anything, but you know, something that may take some time to get him back.
And then Meadows looked like he was in a boot. Is that going to be a little?
Yeah, that hopefully is short term. You know, I look for him to be back next mini camp.
Is this the type of camp where you're getting to where there's some nicks and bruises?
Yeah, there is. I don't know how there's not. If you're competing hard and you're playing physical, it's going to happen. And you know, we can't pull back. We got to be a more physical team. So that's part of it.
Back to Alves, you know, you play guys at corner in the secondary because, you know, they don't catch the ball as well as wide receivers. How has he done in his adjustment, especially with his hands and being able to be a sure guy?
Yeah, honestly, initially, not as smooth as the other guys, but I think he's there now. He made some difficult catches today behind him, you know, extended catches, contested catches. He had about all of them today.
What specifically, you mentioned he had one of the best wide receiver days in a while. What specifically jumped out?
Yeah, he had all kinds of different plays. You know, he had some deep balls. He had some contested catches across the middle. He had a tough catch in the end zone. He made a heck of a catch on the sideline with the ball behind him. You know, he's a good-sized target with a good catch radius. So, you know, we'll see. I mean, he's not in that in that first group yet, and he's hasn't been in the second group, but he's clawing his way right now.
You said a little lopsided. Is that something that just kind of showed up today, or has that kind of been a theme here or there?
It happens occasionally. I want to get to a place where we can always answer. Where if the offense is starting the period and we're halfway through it and they've been pretty dominant, that we find a way to turn the tide. Somebody makes a play defensively to get it back right. But it was a good work day.
Montavius seemed to make a big move in the spring. I think he was most improved on offense. What steps did he take? What kind of clicked for him it seemed tough for him to even get on the field last year.
Yeah, honestly, he's had the athleticism. He's had the traits. He's strong. He was thinking too much. It wasn't turning over for him. It wasn't. I think Coach Moore and Coach Danielson have been really good for him. I think Tomas and Altuner have been really good for him. The communication up front is. Those guys do a great job with it, and I think he's the guy that's probably benefiting the most.
When you signed him, I think I remember Bowen just touting his athleticism, kind of something you guys didn't have in that room. What stands out with that?
Yeah, I think I've said it before. He's got traits of a 3 technique, of a D tackle. He's twitchy. He's got agility. He's sudden at times. So, that's what we need. That's if we can get him to come on and have the type of year that his potential, his athleticism says he could have, we got a pretty good guard right there.
With that O-line group, how deep do you think that group can be this year?
We got to stay healthy. Muskrat's going to be key. Meadows is going to be key. We've got some flexibility because Tomas has played down inside a bunch in his career, and he's certainly an option at guard.
I wanted to ask you mentioned about the stories last week of guys who transferred in, but Gabe Williams is a story about everything that happened last year with him, his dad passing, now he's back clear and playing. What have you noticed about him and that journey of wanting to stay committed to football and stay committed to this program after everything that happened?
Yeah, he's been very determined. Even when maybe the doctors and the coaches felt like he's probably not going to be ready to help us this year, he just kept convincing us that he would be. And he got ahead of schedule in his rehab and just been determined and tough. He's not where he needs to be yet. He's not 100%, but he's been cleared for contact. He's not a full practice guy where we can get everything out of him. But over the next couple of weeks, I think he's only going to get better and better. Very happy for him. Very deserving of what he's, what's in front of him right now.
Bass, I think we saw him have a pick. How has he kind of transitioned, and you like what you see there from him so far?
Yeah, I think he's got tremendous range. He plays very hard. What I see out of him right now since the move to safety is what I saw out of him and a lot of people saw out of him, back at Phoebus. He played safety and he prowled that secondary and would close on things. He tracks the ball really good. He's still learning it. He's still making too many mental mistakes, too many missed assignments. But he's an exciting guy back there. He's aggressive, and he's got great range. He's got good ball skills, and he's physical.
Has Heisman been what you hoped coming from the portal?
Yeah, I give him a lot of grief that he can't rush the quarterback. But he's been a problem at times for the offensive line. He plays as hard as anybody we got. He's strong and he's physical. What we didn't realize, he is very smart pre-snap. He reads stances. He reads backfield sets. He's really good at that kind of stuff.